Are you conscious of your breath? Typically, a lot of people breathe unconsciously, and when they breathe unconsciously, unfortunately, they breathe in a very shallow way. Breathing in a shallow way is one of the smaller pillars of the depression that one can feel in their life. Why that may be so? Because see, a lot of people look at breathing as a scientific aspect. It is something that you do for survival. Well, it is correct, obviously, but at the same time, your level of breathing or the awareness that you have over your breathing should be an indicative of how much you cherish your life. See, a lot of people live life as walking zombies because they have given up on life. They are somewhat convinced, somewhere deep down there in the course of their meaning acceptance, that life is somewhat useless or there is nothing special about life. Well, this sick society with its cancel culture is kind of giving people this idea because you're not capable anymore of doing things outside because everything is kind of closing down or it is being banned or removed from society because some fuckers simply don't want it anymore and they want more place for their madness. But when it comes to uh, inner work, well, one can always attend to their inner work. Now, if we are to think a bit, how you breathe in a way shows your awareness towards life. Because the more aware you are, the wiser you become in life, and other few aspects like working on your inner energies, becoming more aware of your inner energies and how they function. Well, that will allow you to have a much more pleasant life. You will tend to become more of a pleasant person. Pleasantness means you are moving away from the tantalizing aspects of living life in a miserable way because misery will always be tempting when you're living in a miserable world because in a miserable world everyone wants you to be like them. When everyone behaves the same way, well, the problem is you're gonna have it harder and harder to distinguish the illusions of the others from the reality that you are living in. And it's easier to fall in their traps and believe that ultimately their madness and their illusions are the only reality you can live in. When you breathe in a shallow way, see, breathing one has to take not as a scientific aspect of survival necessarily, one has to take it as a transaction. Just like someone drinks water to live, just like someone eats to live, breathing is also somewhat of a transaction. Something comes in and then you give something back. Yes, you give something back. Yes, many people might say that what we give back to nature is not useful for us, but why would that be even an idea to discuss? Nature will find something of use out of everything that is left behind. In nature, everything is sooner or later recycled. Yes, some things like radiation take far longer, but ultimately everything is being recycled. See, in a way, you also recycle air because you breathe in a certain kind of air and you breathe out a certain kind. It is a transaction in life, and this transaction shows your level of sensitivity as well. It is also an indicative of how unhealthy your life will become because when you have given up on life, when you live in stress, when you live in any form of survival, you will breathe far faster. The faster you will breathe, your heart will also pump a bit faster because it needs to process, it needs not to process, it needs to pump um, blood fueled by oxygen a bit faster. And science says that every one of us lives a certain amount of heartbeats. So, in a way, the faster you breathe, you also induce more effort. You take more effort when you breathe more, right? If you breathe 1,000 times, let's say in a certain time, well, you obviously consume a bit more effort than should you breathe 700 times or 800 times, right? Some people even ask me, how is it that I'm breathing so slowly? That at times I breathe probably even twice as slow as the majority of people I meet. Well, this is something common of me. I'm not pointing it to anything specific, but a lot of people live in stress, irrespective of what source it has. When they live in this idea of disharmony and hatred towards self, towards life, abandonment and the such, you will live in a state where you must prove the others that you are worthy, right? So in a way, you are in a level of survival, right? So survival on a societal level. Why? Because you're stuck in that idea that you must show the others. When you want to show the others, well, that is a bit unhealthy because you're going to direct your energies toward things that ultimately may not necessarily support your reality. Because people may like you, but that doesn't matter in the end if you're convinced that they don't, right? So one's illusions, one has to become calmer because this whole sick society is about keeping you in survival, in bondage, right? Because when you are kept in survival, well, the problem is you're going to breathe faster, you're going to have less patience, and when you don't have patience, you don't have time for yourself. You don't have time to think thoroughly, so you're going to make mistakes. Then you're going to put the blame on you because other people programmed you to put the blame on yourself. It's never their fault, it's always yours. But they ask you to do things, and when you do them, it's your fault that you did them. Yes, and if you don't do those things, it's again your fault that you didn't do them, right? Because they're always telling you what they don't like, right? When they give you the silent treatment, it means don't do what you want to do because they will be pissed, right? If they're telling you what to do, miserable people will tell you that because they know it's not going to serve you, because they've been going through those pains, they kind of know what those pains lead to. You also should know because look at them, right? They've been living the same impulses, the same repetitive cycles of life, and look at them. Most likely they're not, you know, they're very miserable. They're not happy at all, right? But they still abide to the same codes, to the same pains and the such. So when you breathe in a calmer way, right, your body will act in a different way. When you eat, if you eat slowly, you can eat the same amount of food, but when you eat it slowly, when you chew it, you show your body that, you respect it. Because when you chew your food very well and patiently, and your mind is somewhat focused on the aspect of imbibing that energy which the food is into your body, then you accept that food in a more peaceful way, and your body will react in a different way. When you eat in a hasty way, you're showing your body that, your food is just like trash, right? Because you don't give that food much importance, so your body will probably think it's trash, right? Even if it can be very nourishing. But when you eat food in a hasty way, you're not going to chew it enough. So you're going to make your stomach do extra effort. Extra effort means you're going to use a lot more energy. So you're only going to end up with very little energy from the food that you eat. With meat and very heavy meals, well, you might actually end up in a deficit. Even if you ate a lot, now you feel super sluggish because you still haven't received energy from that food. You're requiring more energy to process that food because you haven't chewed it easily, right? Such a simple habit can have such a profound impact, and not only on your body but actually also on your health. If you drink water hastily, again, it gives your body the impression that you're not respecting it, right? Your mind is always wandering here and there. It's like, well, you should treat your body as a temple. In order to treat your body as a temple, your focus should be somewhat on your body from time to time. Not everyone can breathe consciously all day, but from time to time you should actually focus a bit on your breath. See that when you breathe slower, you will feel somewhat calmer. Now, obviously, don't exaggerate. You don't have to breathe like twice or three times slower. For some people, it is normal to breathe in a certain way, especially when doing sports. Don't try to breathe slower when you're doing heavy efforts. So your breath also should count in a way because it is a transaction. You're not just breathing air around, you're breathing life force because that air is basically life force. You can't live without it for more than 5 minutes. Probably 2 hours if you're some Tibetan monk or you have a certain advanced training, but still you're not gonna live too much. You can live far more without water and especially without food, but without air you're not gonna live much. So how you breathe that air in, that's gonna be an important thing. Hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated. Take care. And this being said, Very John Board signing out.